President Donald J. Trump held a working dinner last night at the White House with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to discuss, among other things, a 60-day ceasefire proposal to temporarily pause the brutal fighting raging for the past 20 months in Gaza. The formal dinner at the White House was a diplomatic dud. The only surprising element was Netanyahu's handing President Trump a letter nominating Mr. Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. Frankly, I hate to be sarcastic about these things. I'm not sure if the nomination is considered a compliment or an insult to the President of the United States, considering it's coming from the first Prime Minister of Israel, indicted while in office for multiple charges of bribery, fraud, and breach of trust. At any rate, the central tenets of the proposal discussed during Netanyahu's visit were recently accepted in principle by both Israel and the Islamic resistance movement Hamas. However, admittedly, several points of contention remain to be ironed out by negotiators representing both parties, Israel and Hamas. The draft agreement leaked to Arab and Israeli media outlets is quite similar to documents proposed intermittently by the US and Arab mediators and stakeholders since October 2023. It is déjà vu again. The current deal includes the same basic steps that the warring parties in Gaza were required to undertake before, namely, 1. The cessation of military operations by both Israel and Hamas. 2. The release of living and dead Israeli hostages held in Gaza since October 7, 2023, combined with the release of some Palestinian prisoners from the West Bank and Gaza held by Israel. 3. The gradual redeployment of Israeli troops from densely populated areas in the Gaza Strip. 4th, the entry of increased and adequate humanitarian aid relief supplies and fuel to all areas in the Gaza Strip. Details of the amounts supplied and the mode of distribution remain subject to negotiation. And 5th, the return of all internally displaced people in the Strip to their original homes or original places of residence. Although we agree with the widespread sentiment in the US and the region that a genuine, enforceable ceasefire that puts an end to the daily genocidal bloodletting witnessed since October 23 is generally welcome, we're quite apprehensive about the remaining loose ends throughout the deal that threaten its effectiveness, sustainability, and verifiability. 3 fundamental concerns come to mind. The first, the document conspicuously avoids addressing the day after. As my friend Jack Khoury wrote in Haaretz yesterday, who will control Gaza? Who will be responsible for its people? And who will set the agenda? There are no convincing, direct answers, nor even implicit hints in the agreement regarding these important questions. 2. Both Hamas and Israel are asking the United States for guarantees. Hamas, logically, wants solid assurances from the Trump administration that the ceasefire deal will lead to a permanent end to the war. Now, contrary to that, Israel wants guarantees to be able to resume the fighting without restrictions to eliminate Hamas should that become necessary from its own perspective. I would venture to guess that Netanyahu stands a better chance of getting his request met by Trump, which reflects the inherent imbalance in Washington's position, allegedly one of the 3 key moderators in this conflict. 3. Since the inception of the Gaza war, neither Israel nor the US has amended its original objective of eliminating Hamas's military and governing capabilities. That goal remains intact today, which prompts us to ask, what then motivates Hamas to sign this deal, which is tantamount to a suicide pact on its part? And 4th, of particular concern, are the statements made by both Prime Minister Netanyahu and President Trump before and during the dinner last night, indicating that the adherence of both parties, the US and Israel, to their earlier ill-conceived proposal to transfer hundreds of thousands of Palestinians out of the Gaza Strip, whether forcibly or voluntarily. The remaining few days of indirect proximity talks currently taking place in Doha offer an opportunity to try to answer these questions. By plugging the gaps in the existing draft, the president remains upbeat about the talks despite the lack of any breakthrough. Rumors in Washington, D.C. indicate that U.S. Special Envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, is about to head to the region next week to assist in the negotiations. Should these talks fail, the parties, including the United States, have no one to blame but themselves for pushing a deal that lacks a hopeful vision for genuine and lasting peace, which requires diplomatic flexibility from all parties without exception.